I thought I was building a future with her. I put everything in her name because she said it was easier that way. Then one morning, a man I'd never seen before walked into my living room and called himself her husband. He had paperwork, legal documents, and suddenly nothing in my life belonged to me anymore. If our stories resonate with you, don't forget to like, comment, and tell us where you're watching from. This story was shared with us by one of our viewers. I landed in Bangkok on a Tuesday morning in February. The heat hit me the moment I stepped off the plane, thick and wet like walking into a sauna. I was 69 years old, freshly retired from 42 years at a telecommunications company in Vancouver, and I'd just finalized my divorce from a woman who'd stopped looking at me somewhere around year 15. My condo back home was silent. My daughter called once a month out of obligation. My friends were all married or dead or both, so I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand and told myself I was starting over. The first month was lonely in a way I hadn't expected. I rented a small condo in Sukhumvit, walked the streets, ate street food that burned my mouth, and tried to learn enough Thai to order coffee. I felt invisible, old like a ghost drifting through a city that didn't need me. Then I met Pranita. It was at a night market near Asok Station. She was sitting behind a small table covered in handmade jewelry, silver bracelets and necklaces with tiny orchid charms. She looked up when I stopped and she smiled. Not the polite smile vendors give to tourists. A real one, warm, like she was actually glad I'd paused. "You like?" she asked, holding up a bracelet. "It's beautiful," I said. "For your wife?" I shook my head. "No wife." She tilted her head, studying me. "Then for you. Men can wear silver too," I laughed. It felt good to laugh. "I don't think I'm the jewelry type." "Maybe you are," she said. "You just don't know yet." We talked for 20 minutes. Her English was excellent. She told me she'd studied at Chulalongkorn University, but had to drop out when her mother got sick. Now she made jewelry and worked part-time as a tour guide. She asked where I was from, what brought me to Thailand, if I liked Bangkok. When I told her I was retired and looking for peace, she nodded like she understood. "Peace is hard to find," she said quietly. "Especially alone." I bought 3 bracelets I didn't need and asked if she'd have coffee with me sometime. She said yes. We met 2 days later at a cafe near Lumpini Park. She wore a yellow dress and had her hair pulled back. She looked young. I mean, I knew she was young, but sitting across from her in daylight, I felt the weight of the years between us. She was 22. I was 69. It should have felt wrong. But when she laughed at my terrible attempt to pronounce iced coffee in Thai, I didn't care. "You're funny," she said. "I'm old," I replied. "Old isn't bad. Old means you've lived. You have stories. Not very interesting ones." She leaned forward, her eyes serious. "Everyone's story is interesting if someone actually listens." I told her about Vancouver, about the rain that never stopped, the job I'd spent half my life at, the marriage that had died slowly over decades. She listened. Really listened. Asked questions. Touched my hand once when I mentioned my daughter hadn't called in 6 weeks. "That must hurt," she said softly. It did. And the fact that she saw it, that she acknowledged it, made something crack open inside me. We started seeing each other every few days. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long walks along the river. She showed me parts of Bangkok I'd never have found on my own. Hidden temples, family-run restaurants, markets where locals shopped. She was patient with my broken Thai, laughed when I mispronounced things, corrected me gently. One night after dinner, she asked if I was lonely. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Me too," she said. She stayed that night, and the night after. And within a week, she'd brought over a small suitcase and asked if she could stay a while longer. I said yes. I didn't even hesitate. I knew what people would think. I'd seen the other Western men in Bangkok with their young Thai girlfriends. I'd judged them, called them pathetic in my head. But when Pranita curled up next to me on the couch and rested her head on my shoulder, I didn't feel pathetic. I felt wanted, needed, alive. "You make me feel safe," she whispered one night, and I believed her. 3 months in, my Canadian friend Doug called. We'd worked together for 20 years, and he was one of the few people who still checked in. "How's Thailand treating you?" he asked. "Good," I said. "Really good, actually. You sound different. I met someone." There was a pause. "Yeah, that's great, Mal. What's her name?" Pranita. She's wonderful, Doug. Another pause. How old is she? I hesitated. 22. The silence stretched longer this time. Mal, I know how it sounds, I said quickly, but it's not like that. She's smart. She's kind. She takes care of me. I'm sure she does, Doug said carefully. Just be careful, okay? I've heard stories. I know the stories. This is different. That's what everyone says. I got defensive. Told him he didn't understand. Told him I was happy for the first time in years. He backed off, but I could hear the doubt in his voice when we hung up. I told myself he was wrong, that he didn't know Pranita, that he couldn't see what we had. But late at night, when she was asleep and I was staring at the ceiling, a small voice in my head whispered that maybe Doug was right. I ignored it. 6 months after we met, Pranita brought up the idea of buying a house. We were having breakfast, and she was scrolling through property listings on her phone. Look at this one, she said, turning the screen toward me. In Chiang Mai, so beautiful, and the price much cheaper than Bangkok. I glanced at it. A small house with a garden, white walls, terracotta roof. It looked peaceful. It's nice, I said. We should buy it, she said casually. I blinked. We? Why not? You're renting here, throwing money away every month. If we buy, we have something that's ours. Pranita, I just retired. I don't know if I want to buy property. She set her phone down, her expression shifting. You don't want to build a life with me? That's not what I said. Then what? You want to keep renting? Keep living like you're temporary? I am temporary. I'm on a retirement visa. I can't just... You can, she interrupted. Foreigners buy property here all the time. Foreigners can't own land in Thailand. She sighed like I was being difficult. That's why we put it in my name. You can be listed as a co-occupant. It's legal. People do it every day, I frowned. Put it in your name. There's no other way. But it's ours, you, me. A real home. I didn't answer right away. Something about it felt off. But when I looked at her, at the hope in her eyes, I wanted to believe it was real. I'll think about it, I said. She didn't push, but over the next few weeks she kept bringing it up. Showing me more listings, talking about how much better life would be in Chiang Mai. Quieter, safer, a place where we could really settle. Don't you want that? She asked one night. A place that's just ours? I do, I said. And I meant it. Then trust me. I did, or at least I wanted to. We flew to Chiang Mai on a Saturday morning. The house was exactly as it looked in the photos, small, clean, surrounded by trees. Pranita walked through it, like she was already imagining our life there. This is the kitchen, she said, smiling. I'll cook here. And this room, this can be your office. You can read, write, whatever you want. I followed her, watching the way she moved through the space. She looked happy, genuinely happy. What do you think? She asked. It's perfect, I said. She kissed me. Then let's do it. The next day we met with a lawyer. His name was Mr. Somchai, and he was recommended by Pranita. He was polite, spoke decent English, and walked me through the paperwork. The land must be registered in a Thai national's name, he explained, but you will be listed as co-occupant. You can live here. You have rights. What if something happens? I asked, what if we break up? He glanced at Pranita, then back at me. You would need to negotiate. But legally, the property belongs to the person whose name is on the deed. I felt a knot form in my stomach. So I'd have no claim? Not legally, no. But, he smiled, you're not breaking up, yes? This is your partner. You trust her. Pranita reached across the table and took my hand. You do trust me, don't you? I looked at her soft eyes, her gentle smile. Of course, I said. The next week, I transferred $85,000 from my retirement account. It was most of what I had left after the divorce. But Pranita said it was enough, that we'd be set, that this was our future. The deed came back with her name on it. Only her name. I stared at it, my chest tight. Is this right? I asked Mr. Somchai. He nodded. Yes, as we discussed. The property is in Miss Pranita's name. You are listed as co-occupant, but my name isn't on the deed. It cannot be. You are not a Thai citizen. I looked at Pranita. She smiled. It's ours, she said. Don't worry. She kissed me and I told myself it was fine, that I was overreacting, that this was how things worked in Thailand. We moved in a month later. The first few months in Chiang Mai were good. Better than good. We settled into a routine, morning coffee on the patio, afternoons exploring the city, evenings cooking together. Pranita seemed content. So did I, but slowly things started to shift. She spent more time on her phone. At first it was occasional, a message here and there, but soon she was glued to it, laughing at texts, typing quickly, turning the screen away when I walked by. "Who are you talking to?" I asked one afternoon. "My cousin," she said without looking up. "Must be a funny cousin." She glanced at me, her expression flat. "Why, you jealous?" "No, just curious." She went back to her phone. A few days later, I asked again. This time she said it was her brother, then her university friends, then her mother. The explanations kept changing. One afternoon I was looking for my sunglasses and found a second phone in her purse. It was small, cheap, the kind you'd use for calls only. When she came home, I held it up. "What's this?" I asked. Her face went hard. "You went through my purse." "I was looking for my sunglasses." "So you went through my things?" "Pranita, why do you have two phones?" She snatched it from my hand. "Because I do." "Is that a crime?" "No, but what?" "You think I'm doing something wrong?" "You think I'm lying?" "I didn't say that. You don't have to. I can see it in your face." Her voice was rising. "You don't trust me. You never have." "That's not true." "Then why are you acting like this? Like some paranoid old man who thinks his girlfriend is cheating?" The words stung more than they should have. "I'm not paranoid," I said quietly. "I'm just trying to understand." She stared at me for a long moment, then shook her head. "You don't understand anything. You don't understand Thai culture. You don't understand my life. You just assume the worst because that's what old foreign men do." She left the room and I stood there holding my sunglasses, feeling small. I apologized later that night, told her I was sorry for going through her things. She accepted, but something had changed. She was colder, more distant, and the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. A few weeks later, Pranita's brother came to visit. At least she said he was her brother. His name was Cayman. He was young, maybe mid-20s, polite but quiet. He didn't speak much English, and Pranita translated most of our conversations. They spent hours talking in Thai, voices low, glancing at me occasionally. I tried to act normal, but I felt like an outsider in my own house. When Cayman left, I asked Pranita what they'd talked about. "Family stuff," she said. "What kind of family stuff?" "Just stuff." "Why do you always need to know everything?" I didn't push, but I noticed the way Cayman had looked at me. Not hostile, just assessing, like he was figuring out how much I was worth. The next few months were tense. Pranita was distant. We barely talked. She spent most of her time in the bedroom or out with friends I'd never met. I tried to bring it up, to ask if something was wrong, but every conversation ended in a fight. "You're smothering me," she said one night. "I'm just trying to connect." "Well, stop. I need space." So I gave her space, and the distance between us grew. I called Doug one night, desperate to talk to someone. "How's paradise?" he asked. "It's complicated." "What's going on?" I told him. "The phones, the brother, the coldness." Doug was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Mal, I think you need to get out." "Out?" "Out of there. Come home. You can stay with me until you figure things out. I can't just leave. I put everything into this house. A house you don't own. It's in her name, but it's ours. Is it?" Doug's voice was gentle. "Mal, listen to yourself. You sound miserable." "I'm fine." "You're not. And I'm worried about you." "I appreciate that, but I can handle it." Doug sighed. "All right. But if things get worse, call me. I'll wire you money for a flight. No questions asked. I won't need it. I hope you're right." I woke up one morning to voices downstairs. Low, serious in Thai. I glanced at the clock, 7 a.m. Pranita wasn't beside me. I got dressed and went downstairs. Pranita was standing in the living room with a man I'd never seen before. He was young, maybe 30, wearing slacks and a button-down shirt. He looked polished, confident. They both turned when I walked in. "Good morning," I said slowly. Pranita smiled. It wasn't warm. "Malcolm, this is Natapong." The man extended his hand. I shook it, confused. "Nice to meet you," he said in perfect English. "Who?" I started. My husband, Pranita said casually. I laughed. It was automatic. A joke. Had to be. But neither of them smiled. I'm sorry, what? I said. Natapong gestured to the couch. Please sit, we should talk. My legs felt weak. I sat. Pranita remained standing, her arms crossed. Natapong sat across from me, calm and composed. I understand this is confusing, he said, but I wanted to meet you in person, to explain the situation. What situation? Pranita and I have been married for 4 years. The room tilted. That's not possible. We've been separated, he continued, but never divorced. Under Thai law, we are still legally married. I looked at Pranita. Is this true? She nodded. Why didn't you tell me? She shrugged. It didn't seem important. I couldn't finish. My chest was tight. Natapong pulled a folder from his bag and set it on the table. This is our marriage certificate. These are letters from my lawyer. And this, he tapped a document, is the deed to this house. I know the deed, I said weakly. It's in Pranita's name. Yes, and Pranita is my wife, which means under Thai family law, any major assets acquired during our marriage are considered joint property. I stared at him. You're saying you own half of this house. I'm saying I have a legal claim to half of its value, yes. The words hit me like a punch. This is insane, I whispered. It's the law, Natapong said calmly. I looked at Pranita again. You knew about this. You knew he was going to come here. She didn't answer. Natapong stood. I don't want to fight. I'm a reasonable man, but I have rights, and I intend to exercise them. He placed a business card on the table, my lawyer's information. You should get your own. We can settle this properly. He walked to the door, paused, and looked back. It's just business, Malcolm. Nothing personal. Then he left. I sat there staring at the business card, my mind blank. Pranita finally spoke. He's right. It's just business. Just business? My voice cracked. You let me buy this house. You let me put everything in your name. And now you're telling me your husband is taking half. She sighed. I didn't think he'd find out. Find out? You were married. Separated. It's different. Not legally, apparently. She walked toward the stairs. You should call a lawyer. Pranita. She stopped, looked back. What? Was any of it real? For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or pity. Then it was gone. Does it matter? She asked. And she went upstairs. I called Mr. Somchai that afternoon. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Mr. Malcolm, he said warmly. How are you? Not great. I need your help. Of course. What's wrong? I explained everything. The husband. The marriage certificate. The claim. Mr. Somchai was quiet for a long time. Mr. Somchai? I'm here. He sounded tired. This is unfortunate. Unfortunate? That's it? Mr. Malcolm, the house is in Pranita's name. Thai law recognizes Natapong as her legal spouse. For even if they were separated, the marriage was never dissolved. So he can just take half? If they were married when the property was purchased, yes. He has grounds. What about fraud? She lied to me. Proving fraud would require evidence that she intentionally deceived you. And even then, it would take years. Cost a lot of money. And probably fail. My throat tightened. So what do I do? You negotiate. Offer a settlement. Or you walk away. Walk away? I put $85,000 into that house. I know, and I'm sorry, but you have no legal claim. You told me I'd be protected. I told you that you'd be listed as a co-occupant, which you are, but the deed is in her name. I cannot change Thai law. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to break something. Instead, I just asked, how much would it cost to fight this? Tens of thousands, maybe more, and the outcome is uncertain. I closed my eyes. What if I offer him money? To go away? That's your best option. But be prepared. He may ask for a lot. I hung up and sat in silence. Pranita didn't come downstairs that night, or the next day. She stayed in the bedroom, and when I tried to talk to her, she ignored me. Doug called on the third day. How's it going? He asked. I told him everything. Jesus, Mal. Yeah, come home. I'll wire you money today. I can't. Why not? Because I put everything into this. If I leave, I lose it all. You've already lost it. I didn't answer. Mal, listen to me. This isn't about money. It's about your life, your sanity. You need to get out of there. I'll think about it. Don't think. Just do it. But I didn't. I stayed. Because leaving felt like admitting I'd been a fool. And I wasn't ready to do that yet. A week later, Natapong's lawyer called. Her name was Miss Cyrilek, and her voice was sharp and professional. Mr. Malcolm, I represent Mr. Natapong. We'd like to arrange a settlement. I'm listening. Mr. Natapong is willing to accept half the current market value of the property, approximately $42,000. My stomach dropped. I don't have that. Then we proceed with legal action. Wait, can we negotiate? That is the negotiation. I need time. You have 2 weeks. She hung up. I sat on the couch staring at nothing. Pranita finally came downstairs that evening. Did she call? She asked. Yeah. What did she say? 42,000. Or they take me to court. She nodded like she'd expected it. Where am I supposed to get that kind of money? I asked. I don't know. You don't know? I stood. This is your mess, Pranita. My mess? You're the one who insisted on buying the house. Because you told me to. You said it was for us. It was. Then why is your husband here taking half? She looked at me, her face cold. Because he can. That's when it hit me. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't upset. She wasn't scared. She'd known this was going to happen. You planned this, I said slowly. She didn't deny it. You and him. You planned this from the start. Not from the start, she said quietly. But yes, we talked about it. I felt like I'd been punched. Why? Because I needed the money. So you used me. You used me too, she shot back. You wanted a young girlfriend, someone to make you feel good about yourself. Don't act like you were some saint. I loved you, she laughed. It was bitter. No, you didn't. You loved the idea of me, the fantasy, but you didn't know me. You never even asked. I asked plenty. You asked what you wanted to hear. She crossed her arms. You're a lonely old man who wanted to feel young again. I'm a girl from Bangkok who needed money. We both got something out of this. I gave you everything. And I gave you company, affection, a reason to get out of bed. She shrugged. We're even. I stared at her, and for the first time I saw her clearly. Not the girl I'd fallen for. Not the woman I thought I'd built a life with. Just a stranger. Why me? I asked. Because you were easy, she said simply. Lonely men don't ask questions. They just say yes. She left the room and I sat down, my chest hollow. She was right. I'd been easy. I borrowed the money from my retirement fund, took out a loan I didn't know how I'd pay back, met with Natapong's lawyer and signed the papers. $42,000 gone. Pranita got to keep the house. I got nothing. I moved into a guest house near the old city. It was small, cheap, and smelled like mildew. But it was all I could afford. Doug called every day. Come home, Mal. I can't. Why not? Because I can't face it. Not yet. Face what? Everyone knowing I was stupid. Nobody thinks you're stupid. I do, he sighed. You're not stupid. You're human. I didn't believe him. Days turned into weeks. I stopped answering Doug's calls, stopped answering anyone's calls. I'd sit in that tiny room and replay everything. Every conversation. Every red flag I'd ignored. Every moment I'd chosen to believe her instead of my gut. It wasn't her fault. Not really. I'd wanted so badly to be loved that I'd ignored every sign. I'd let myself be used because being used felt better than being alone. And now I was alone anyway. One night, I finally called Doug back. Mal, he said, relief flooding his voice. Where have you been? Here, are you okay? No. Come home, please. I looked around the guest house. At the peeling paint, the sagging mattress, the life I'd built and lost. I don't know where home is anymore, I said. Doug was quiet. Then, home is wherever you decide to start over. I thought about that for a long time. But I didn't leave, not yet. Because leaving meant admitting it was over. And I wasn't ready. 6 months later, I was still in Chiang Mai. Not at the guest house anymore. I'd moved to a smaller town near the Laos border. A place where nobody knew me. Where I could disappear. I rented a studio apartment for $150 a month. Started teaching English online to survive. The pay was bad, but it was enough. I didn't talk to Pranita, didn't think about Natapong. Tried not to think about the house or the money or how much I'd lost. Some days I thought about going back to Canada, but I couldn't. Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't know who I'd be there. The man who left Vancouver 2 years ago believed in second chances. In love, in starting over. That man was gone. In his place was someone quieter, emptier. Someone who'd learned that loneliness wasn't the worst thing in the world. Being used was worse. Doug called once a month, asked how I was. Offered to help. I told him I was fine. I wasn't, but I'd learned to live with it. I'd wake up, teach a few classes, eat cheap noodles from a street cart, watch the sunset over the Mekong, and I'd tell myself this was enough. Most days I believed it. On the bad days I'd think about Pranita, about the house, about the $85,000 I'd never see again. And I'd remind myself that it wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that I'd traded my dignity for the illusion of being wanted. That was the real cost. One evening, I sat on my balcony and watched the sky turn orange. A monk walked past, his robes bright against the dirt road. Somewhere a dog barked. I thought about the man I used to be. The one who believed in love at 69, who thought he could build something beautiful in a foreign land. I didn't hate him, but I didn't recognize him either. I was different now, harder, more careful. I didn't trust easily. Didn't open up, didn't let myself hope for things I couldn't control. And maybe that was sad. Maybe I'd lost something important along the way, but I was still here, still breathing. Then some days that felt like enough. I pulled out my phone and stared at Doug's last message. "Whenever you're ready," it said. "The door's open." I typed a reply. Deleted it. Typed another. Finally, I just wrote, "Thank you." I didn't know if I'd ever go back. Didn't know if I'd stay in Thailand forever or find somewhere new. But I knew one thing. I wasn't the same man who landed in Bangkok 2 years ago. That man believed in second chances. This one knew better. And maybe that was the lesson. Not that love was impossible, or that people were cruel, but that loneliness made you vulnerable. And vulnerability, if you weren't careful, could cost you everything. I'd paid that price, learned that lesson, and now, sitting on a balcony in a town I couldn't pronounce, watching the sun sink below the hills, I finally understood. I wasn't looking for peace anymore. I was looking for a way to live with what I'd lost. And maybe someday I'd find it, but not today. Today I just sat, breathed, watched the sky change colors, and told myself that this quiet, lonely existence was enough. I told myself that every day. Most days I even believed it.